and he tried every way in the world to break in, but it's very difficult. And if you don't know people in Hollywood, I don't care how talented you are, you're not going to come through the door. Well, somebody came up to him, I don't know whether it was a woman now or a man, that had a chemical they could put on you and set you afire where it was perfectly safe. And he got very interested in it, and they said, well, go down, and this place out here has a lake and a nice lawn, and I'll pour it on you, and once you find out you can do a fire gag, that's your first step forward to becoming a stuntman. So he couldn't be any more eager than the rest of you would be to have that opportunity. He went down there, and they set him afire. And when I say fire, from his nose to his toes, he was on fire, and they couldn't put it out. Now, Kane, set me if I'm wrong. I think you went to the lake and got in. Is that correct?
Well, actually, what it was we did it the one day right next to the lake, and it was too windy because we were right next to the lake, and I wasn't happy with how the fire looked. So it was very small. The next day is when we did what he's talking about. It was out in the middle of the desert, and there wasn't a lake, so it was hard to get put out when I realized I was out of control on fire. So yeah, not a good thing. I don't know if any of you in here have ever been burned, but it's certainly not a good experience to go through in any way. And it's one of those injuries where not only does it take forever to heal, but once you heal from the burns, if you burn badly enough, you get contractures, and now you're healed, but now you can't move because your skin has tightened up so much in all your joints. And that's why you can still see my neck has a big contracture in it. And this is 40 years ago, almost. It'll be 40 years in July. So if you're doing the math, you see that I got my SAG card in January of 1977, thought I was on my way, and then got burned in July of 77. So not a great way to start. And then, you think, okay, you might want to avoid fire stunts after going through that, but I actually ended up more specializing in them because I'm not really bright.
There were certain things around his house that he couldn't do and could do. He could be affected by people. If they had any kind of a disease or any kind of a cold or anything, he could be affected by it, to a point where people come to visit him and have to take their clothes off and take a shower before they could come in. That's how serious it was to be burned as badly as he was burned. Now, he fought through this for 3, 4, 5 years. He never, ever gave up the idea that he wanted to be a stuntman. He should have, because he wasn't worth a damn. Anyway.
That's Ted White right there. That's why we love him.
No, I just want to make it very clear to you, when you become that dedicated to something, that's not easy to do just to begin with. I don't care how athletic you are. It's very difficult to learn all the aspects of a modern day stuntman, from car work to horse work to high falls to knives, guns, repelling, name anything you can name. That's what you have to do when you get hired to go on a show. You signed your name to a contract and said, I'm ready to do the work, I can do it. Well, that's what he went through to be able to go ahead and do the stunt work he wanted to. So those of you that didn't buy his book, get out there and buy the book and read it. That's how I found out.
Thank you.
You got it.
Oh yeah. How did you start though in stunts?
Well, mine wasn't quite that dramatic. I came from California. Well, I went to school at Oklahoma University and played a little football and boxed a little bit. But when I quit, I graduated, I came to California and I was married and had 2 boys. And I was working in a car salesman at the Lincoln Mercury dealer on Lankershim Boulevard. And a stuntman came in and bought a new Lincoln. And he talked to me about it several times, and he would come back and have lunch with me from time to time. And he said, I'm getting ready to do a Western over here at Warner Brothers. Why don't you come over and watch? And I said, well, all right. So he left a pass at the gate, and I went over. And the scene was Mamie Van Doren. And the guy walks out on a western porch, and another guy rides up on a horse, and he ropes him, and dallies around his horn and jerks him off the porch. Well, the guy that rode up on the horse is doing the roping. He missed him 5 times in a row, and the guy's not moving, just standing there. So this friend that was working in the movie was standing beside me, and I said, I cannot understand how he can't rope him. The guy hasn't moved. And he said, can you do that? And I said, yeah, I did that since I've been 7 years old. So we went over and talked to a guy named Howard Koch, who used to be the president of Paramount Studios. He was the first assistant on that show. He said, you see the big guy standing over there in the suit? He said, yeah. He said he can rope this guy. So he came over and said, can you rope him? And I said, yes, sir, I can rope him. Why? He said, take him down to wardrobe and see if you can get him as close an outfit as this guy has on to try the horse. And we'll sign him up and put him, let's see if he can do it. So I went down to wardrobe, of course, and put me in the clothes in him. I came back and changed the stirrups on the saddle. And I didn't know the first thing about motion picture business. And I did it the only way I would if I was roping a calf or steer. So when they hollered action, I rode up and I roped that sucker and dallied around the horn, and I jerked him 10 feet in the air. I like to cut him in two. Poor guy, nearly killed him. That was the beginning of a career. Howard Koch said, I think you can make a stuntman, and I grew up on a ranch in West Texas, and he said, I think in the western field you do all right. So that was the beginning for me.